I met Emily 6 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. It was one of those chaotic group nights at a tapas place where everyone ends up talking over each other, but she was sitting across the table, effortlessly holding her own in a debate about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. I don't even remember what side she was on. I just remember watching how confidently she spoke and how easily everyone listened. There was something magnetic about her, not in a flashy, dramatic way, but quiet and assured. I got her number through a mutual friend a few days later and texted her something dumb, like a callback to the pizza debate. She replied almost immediately with a worse joke. We met for coffee the following weekend, and that turned into a 5-hour conversation that bounced between our favorite childhood cartoons, weird travel stories, and the fact that neither of us liked our jobs but were doing them anyway. It didn't feel like a date. It felt like a really good friendship that started with extra sparks. We took our time dating. Neither of us were rushing toward anything serious, but we just kind of settled into each other. I liked how calm she was about things. She never played games or left me guessing. She was also one of the most capable people I'd ever met, organized without being obsessive, stylish without trying too hard. She worked in event coordination, mostly weddings, which suited her perfectly. She liked people and pressure. I was in software consulting, which suited me because I liked problem solving and didn't mind repetition. After about a year, we moved in together. It wasn't some grand, dramatic leap. It was just practical. We were already spending most nights together, and splitting rent made sense. She added plants to every corner of the apartment and had a thing for scented candles. I didn't argue. She made our space feel warm and lived in, like it had always been ours. We got married 2 years later in a small ceremony at a vineyard an hour outside the city. Simple, elegant, just like her. I remember laughing with her while we snuck bites of cake before the reception even started. That day felt easy, like confirmation more than a turning point. We were already a team. Now we live in a quiet neighborhood in the suburbs, not far from where we both grew up. The house is modest, 2 bedrooms, a little backyard, plenty of natural light. She's turned it into something out of a lifestyle magazine, gallery walls, custom shelves, seasonal decorations that somehow never feel overdone. I handle the outdoor stuff, lawn, gutters, the grill, and she handles the inside. We've settled into a routine that works. She still plans most of our social life, and I'm the one who always forgets birthdays unless they're on my calendar. We don't have kids, yet. It's not something we've rushed. Right now, it's just us and our dog, Pepper, who's convinced she runs the house. And for the most part, life has felt full. Normal. In a good way. Living with Emily feels like sharing space with a storm that's learned how to be gentle. She's high energy by nature, but somehow knows exactly when to dial it down. Our days fall into a rhythm that I didn't even realize we were building until it was already second nature. Mornings are her favorite, which surprised me at first. I always thought of her as the stay up late with wine and a movie type. But she's usually up before me, in the kitchen with her robe on, hair in a messy bun, dancing to old pop songs while she makes smoothies. She'll set out my travel mug next to the coffee pot like a quiet ritual, even if we don't always leave the house at the same time. I work from home most days. Consulting means I can log in from anywhere, so I usually catch her heading out the door with her oversized tote bag and that to-do list energy that makes her so good at what she does. She manages weddings, events, and occasionally those corporate retreats with matching t-shirts and icebreakers. It's chaotic, but she thrives on it. I used to joke that planning a wedding every weekend would be my nightmare. She'd just smirk and say, "That's why I'm good at it," and you'd cry before lunch. She wasn't wrong. Evenings are our wind-down time. She loves cooking, especially when she's trying out some new recipe she found online. I do the dishes. It's unspoken now. She cooks, I clean. Every once in a while, we'll switch it up if one of us is wiped out, but it's one of those routines that gives shape to our day. After dinner, it's usually a glass of wine, a show we half-watch while scrolling on our phones, and her feet resting on my lap while Pepper tries to steal space between us. Weekends are a mix of errands, social plans, and what she calls resetting the vibe. That usually means rearranging throw pillows, lighting candles that smell like forests or baked goods, and blasting music while she wipes down every surface in the house. I've learned not to interrupt her during one of her vibe resets. You either help or stay out of the way. We don't fight much. Not that we agree on everything, but we've learned to read each other's moods. If she's quiet, I know to give her space. If I'm stressed, she'll slide her hand across the table and say, "Tell me," not the walls. She's direct, but never cruel. Honest, but not sharp. It's something I've always admired about her. We make each other laugh, probably the part one loved most. Real, stupid, middle of doing the dishes kind of laughter. She'll dance in the hallway just to get a reaction, or text me videos of our dog snoring while I'm on a work call. Life with her isn't just comfortable, it's fun. It feels like we built something solid without having to say it out loud. And maybe that's what makes being with her feel easy. Not because we're perfect, but because we never had to force anything. From the outside looking in, I think people assume we're one of those couples that figured it out. And in a lot of ways, we did. Or at least, I thought we did. People talk about love like it's this huge, dramatic thing, fireworks, passion, shouting in the rain. But real love, at least in my experience, is quieter. It's found in the pauses between everything else. That's how it's always felt with Emily. Like the space between the noise is where we live. We've built a life that feels lived in. Not glossy, not filtered, just solid. Weekdays follow a rhythm now. We wake up, pass each other in the hallway while getting ready, make dumb jokes about who used the last of the oat milk, and get on with the day. Sometimes we text during lunch, memes, dog videos, the occasional rant about a client or a coworker. I never feel like she's far away, even when we don't talk much. We both like our independence, which probably helps. She'll go out for dinner with her friends without making it a big thing, and I'll catch a game with mine or spend an evening reorganizing the garage for the 5th time just because it calms me down. We don't need to be in each other's space 24/7. But when we are, it usually feels like home. Every few weeks we do something together just for the two of us. Dinner downtown, a weekend hike, trying some ridiculous activity neither of us is actually good at. Last time it was pottery, total disaster, but we laughed the whole time. She likes planning things, and I like going along with them. It works. Our families get along fine. Hers is loud and a little dramatic, but they've always been welcoming. Her younger sister, Ava, comes over a lot. She's different than Emily, more reserved, observant, but always kind to me. They're close, even if they bicker now and then. My parents like Emily too. My mom always says she carries herself like someone who knows who she is. And she does. That confidence has always been part of her appeal. Financially, we're stable. We keep our accounts separate, but share the bills. I handle most of the savings and investments. She's better at managing day-to-day stuff. We don't argue about money. That's something I'm genuinely grateful for, because I know how quickly that can rot the foundation. We've talked loosely about future plans. Maybe a bigger house down the line. Maybe a kid or two, when we feel ready. But there's never been pressure. Just the kind of open-ended conversations that float between laundry and late-night walks with the dog. If you'd asked me a month ago what my marriage was like, I would have said it was good. Not perfect, but good in the way most people hope for. Comfortable, connected, filled with small rituals that made the days feel meaningful. And that was enough for me. I wasn't looking for excitement. I wasn't searching for something new. I had what I needed, a partner, a rhythm, a home. That's what makes everything that came next so hard to wrap my head around. It started out like any other weekend. Coffee, laundry, the usual errands. Emily was reorganizing the closet in the guest room, which usually meant something was brewing in her head. She's always had this habit of cleaning when she's working through an idea, so I wasn't surprised when, mid-sorting a pile of scarves, she said, "Hey, can I run something by you?" I was sitting at the kitchen counter, half focused on balancing some invoices from work. I looked up and said, "Of course. What's up?" She came in, leaning against the doorway like she was trying to sound casual. "So, the girls are planning a trip next month. Just a few days. Nothing crazy, beach, cocktails, that kind of thing. I think I need it." I didn't even hesitate. "Yeah, you totally should." Emily works hard. Her job isn't 9 to 5. It's emails at midnight, dealing with panicked brides, managing vendors who cancel last minute. And on top of that, she's been helping her friend Lily through a rough patch. A few days away with her closest friends? She'd earned it. She hesitated for a beat. Thing is, I kind of already said yes. We booked the Airbnb, but I might need help covering some of it. Just a bit. I didn't realize how fast the costs would add up. Again, I didn't think twice. How much? She named a number that wasn't small, but wasn't unreasonable either. Flights, rental car, meals. I pulled out my phone and transferred it to her on the spot. She looked a little surprised, then smiled and walked over to kiss me on the cheek. "You're the best," she said, arms around my neck. Seriously, I needed this. I feel like I haven't breathed in months. We talked about the logistics later that night. She'd be gone for 4 days, leaving Thursday morning, back Sunday evening. It was a girls-only thing. No partners, no drama, just sun and sanity, as she put it. I told her I'd keep the house running and probably eat too much takeout. She seemed lighter after that, back to dancing around in the kitchen, already planning which dresses to pack. I could tell she was excited, and honestly, it made me feel good to be able to give her that. It's not like we're millionaires, but I'd always believed in supporting each other whenever possible. She'd done the same for me more than once. She even joked that I should enjoy the peace and quiet without her. Order all the food you like. Watch that weird crime documentary I hate. Just don't forget to feed Pepper. It felt normal. Nothing about it set off any alarms. If anything, I was glad she was taking time for herself. The last few months had been busy, and we hadn't really slowed down to just breathe. So when she packed her bags the night before and gave me a long hug at the airport drop-off the next morning, I didn't worry. Not for a second. Looking back now, I can't help but wonder how long she'd been planning it. But at the time, I was just proud to be the kind of husband she could count on. The first day Emily was gone, the house felt quiet in a good way. Peaceful. I ordered Thai food, took Pepper for a long walk, and stayed up too late watching a documentary she would have found boring. I even left a pair of socks in the hallway on purpose, just because I could. But by the second day, something shifted. I didn't notice it at first. It was more like background static, easy to ignore, but hard to tune out. The first real moment I felt it was when I sent her a photo of Pepper curled up in the laundry basket. Emily loves that dog like a child and always reacts when I send her pictures. No reply, not even a LOL or a heart reaction. I figured maybe she was on the beach, maybe her phone was in the room. An hour passed, then 3. I finally got a text back that said, "Ah, so cute. Sorry, spotty signal here. Miss you. Totally fine. Normal, right?" But something about it felt off. It was the double exclamation points. She never uses those. I know it sounds ridiculous to pick apart punctuation, but when you know someone's voice so well, the smallest shifts stick out like a sore thumb. That night, I checked her location on my phone, not to snoop, just habit. We'd shared our locations for years. She used to call it our little safety net, especially when she traveled for work. This time, it just said, "Location not available." Again, could have been her signal. Could have been her battery dying. But she hadn't mentioned turning it off. Still, I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to be that guy. Jealous. Insecure. Paranoid. That wasn't me. The next day, I FaceTimed her. She didn't pick up. Texted back 10 minutes later. "Hey babe. At dinner, kinda loud here. Can we talk later tonight?" We didn't. She messaged around midnight with a "just got back, super tired, love you." And I believed her. Mostly. I tried not to let it bother me. I went to work, played fetch with Pepper, cleaned the kitchen even though it didn't need cleaning. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was talking to a version of Emily I didn't recognize. Like I was texting a script instead of a person. On the final day of her trip, she finally called me. We talked for 5 minutes, just enough to hit the usual beats. Yes, she had fun. No, nothing dramatic happened. She said she'd show me pictures when she got back, and her voice had that sunny, slightly rushed tone like she was running late for something but didn't want to say what. She got home the next night, rolling her suitcase through the front door like nothing had changed. She kissed me, dropped her bag in the corner, and went to take a long shower. I made tea, sat on the couch, watched her phone buzz on the kitchen counter with a notification from someone named Jay. Never heard of Jay. Didn't ask. Because maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe I'm tired and reading into things that don't deserve it. Still, I found myself staring at the steam rising from my tea, wondering, when did I start guessing how honest her answers were? It's hard to explain how you can miss someone who's sitting right next to you. But that's what it's been like since Emily got back. She's here, technically, physically, but something didn't come home with her. Or maybe something new came back instead, something I don't recognize. At first, I told myself it was just the post-vacation slump. You know the feeling coming off the high of sun, drinks, laughter, that sense of freedom that doesn't follow you home. It made sense. She was quieter, a little more distracted. She left her suitcase half unpacked for 3 days, which wasn't like her. Normally, she'd have laundry going the same night. She showed me some photos from the trip, but they were all landscapes, food, drinks, group shots, nothing personal. I asked her if she had any with her and the girls just hanging out, and she said, "Not really, I was kind of living in the moment. I wanted to believe that. I really did. She's been on her phone more, but not in a way that's obvious. Just little things. Walking out of the room when she takes a call. Changing her passcode. Turning the screen slightly away when she's texting. Again, none of this is proof of anything. These are just patterns. And I hate that I even noticed them. I hate that my brain has started cataloging her behavior like some sort of amateur detective. The other night, I got home a little early and she wasn't here. Said she was out running errands, picking up a few things for the house. But when I asked what she bought, she paused for just a second too long. Oh, just some stuff. Soap. Towels. I glanced in the bathroom later. Nothing new. We haven't been intimate since she got back. At first, I chalked it up to timing. She was tired. I had early mornings. But it's been over a week now. I kissed her neck the other night while we were lying in bed, and she smiled, placed her hand on mine, but then turned away. I'm not really in the mood tonight. Long day. I didn't push. I never do. I know that people change. Routines shift. Maybe she's just processing something from the trip. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe I'm projecting my own anxieties onto her. But I also know my wife. And lately, she's been answering questions I haven't asked with just a little too much detail. Laughing at things that aren't funny. Leaving the room when I walk in, only to come back seconds later acting like nothing happened. I haven't brought any of this up. I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm not prying through her things or stalking her online. I'm not that guy. I keep telling myself that trust means believing her even when things feel uncertain. But when trust and instinct start pulling in opposite directions, you start to wonder which one's actually protecting you. The silence between us is no longer the kind that comforts. It's the kind that hums low and constant, like an appliance left running in another room, too soft to point at, but too persistent to ignore. Emily has been back for almost 2 weeks now, and though she slides back into the rhythms of our home, unloading the dishwasher, folding laundry, scrolling her phone on the couch beside me, there's something missing in the way she moves. Something not quite tethered. Like she's physically here, but emotionally paused somewhere I can't follow. I find myself watching her when she doesn't know I'm looking. Not because I'm suspicious. At least, that's what I keep telling myself. But because I keep hoping to catch some trace of the version of her I used to know so easily. The way she used to laugh without checking her reflection in the window. The way she used to reach for my hand during car rides without even thinking about it. It's like I'm standing in the same place, watching a fog roll in around someone I love, trying to remember what the view looked like before. Last Saturday, she said she was going out for brunch with Lily and some of the girls from the trip. I told her to have fun, and she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She wore a dress I hadn't seen before, and when I said she looked nice, she said, "It's just something I grabbed on sale before the trip." I told her to send me pictures. She said maybe. She didn't. That night, she came home just before dark, smelling like wine and some perfume I couldn't quite place, not the one she usually wears. She kicked off her shoes and went straight to the shower without saying much, and I stood in the kitchen with Max curled around my feet, trying to shake the feeling that I was no longer part of her story. Since then, it's been small things. Too small to bring up on their own, but heavy when stacked. She doesn't leave her phone unattended anymore. She locks the door to the guest room when she's working, which she's never done before. When I ask what she's doing in there, she says she's just catching up on emails or FaceTiming friends who need privacy. The explanations always make sense. They're never dramatic or clumsy. But that's what bothers me. They're a little too neat. A little too rehearsed. And yet, what can I say? I think you might be hiding something because you're answering too smoothly? That sounds insane even to me. We went out for dinner 2 nights ago, just the 2 of us. I suggested it. Tried to reclaim some kind of closeness. She agreed quickly, maybe too quickly, like she wanted to prove something. The conversation was fine. The food was good. We laughed. But when I reached for her hand across the table, she gave me this practiced smile, polite, almost grateful, and then gently pulled away, saying she had a cramp in her wrist. I nodded. Didn't press. Didn't say that the part of me that used to feel warm in her presence now just feels like it's waiting for bad news to arrive. And maybe that's what hurts the most. Not the idea that she could be keeping something from me, but the fact that, even if she is, I'm no longer sure she'd think I deserve to know. I wasn't expecting anything that night. It was a Tuesday. Quiet. Ordinary. Emily had gone to bed early claiming a headache, and I was downstairs catching up on some overdue invoices and letting Max snore at my feet. I had music on low, a cup of tea I'd reheated twice, and the soft hum of routine keeping everything still. Until my phone buzzed. It was a message from someone I hadn't heard from in over a year, Rachel, one of Emily's friends. The kind of friend who was always around at group dinners, who liked margaritas and gave big hugs, but who slowly drifted out of our lives after she and her boyfriend split. I nearly ignored the message, assuming it was a mass text or a pocket send. But then I saw the preview on the lock screen. Hey, I can't keep quiet anymore. I opened it, confused, a little tense. What followed were 2 more messages, rapid fire. Emily isn't who you think she is. You deserve to know what she did on that trip. My mouth went dry. I sat up straight, heart racing without really knowing why. And then she sent a video. I didn't want to open it. My hands were shaking. I felt stupid even watching it, like I was giving in to something I didn't want to make real. But I did. It was taken in a hotel room. The video was short, blurry at first, then suddenly sharp enough to make my stomach lurch. There she was, Emily, in lingerie I'd never seen before, sitting on the lap of some guy I didn't recognize, laughing, drinking, kissing him. There was no ambiguity, no way to misread it, no grainy security footage or vague assumptions. Just her, living a second life on camera while I sat at home walking our dog and making space in our budget for throw pillows and sushi nights. The video ended with her leaning in and whispering something in his ear. I couldn't hear what it was. I didn't want to. I didn't move for a full minute. Just stared at the screen, my hands frozen, my lungs tight. Then I read the last message Rachel had sent. I told her what she was doing was wrong. She laughed, said you'd never find out. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I didn't call Rachel. I didn't go upstairs. I just sat there in the dim light, the house suddenly too quiet, like everything in it had stopped breathing. Eventually, I stood up, walked to the front door, locked it, turned off the porch light. Then I went to the toolbox in the garage and found the new deadbolt I'd bought months ago but never installed. An hour later, the locks were changed. I bagged up Emily's things, everything I could grab without going into our bedroom, and left them by the door. Her shoes, her favorite coat, her work laptop, even her stupid reusable water bottle she was always losing and then celebrating like she'd found treasure. Then I sat down again, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel uncertain. I felt done. She came home the next afternoon. I watched her on the doorbell camera, her face pulling into confusion as her key refused to turn, her hand jiggling the handle like she could force the past back into place. I stayed inside, silent, calm. I could hear her knocking, at first gently, then louder. She tried calling me. I let it ring. She stood there for a while, arms folded, pacing the porch like she was building up a story. Eventually, she stopped knocking. I don't know where she went. I didn't ask. That evening, I did something I never thought I'd do. I sent a message to Ava, Emily's younger sister. We'd always gotten along, though I'd kept some distance out of respect for the family lines. She was quieter than Emily, more observant, and always kind in a way that seemed to cost her something. Over the years, I'd caught glances from her I couldn't quite place. Not flirtatious exactly, but something softer. She was the type to linger a few seconds too long when we hugged goodbye. I didn't message her for comfort. I messaged her because I wanted something final, something that would leave no room for confusion. I told her I needed to talk. She came over that night. We didn't speak much. I told her what I knew. She didn't act surprised, just sad. She nodded slowly and said, "I'm so sorry she did this to you." And in that moment, I think we both understood each other in a way we hadn't before. There was a quiet honesty between us, something untouched by the chaos Emily had created. I won't dress it up. Ava stayed. The lines we had never crossed before suddenly blurred, and then vanished. I let it happen. She let it happen. We didn't make promises or pretend it was something noble. It wasn't revenge for her, not entirely. But for me, it was. Afterwards, I walked her to the door. She kissed my cheek. Her eyes searched mine like she wanted to say more, but she didn't. And I didn't stop her. I went back inside, uploaded the security footage from Emily's failed attempt to get in, attached the video Rachel had sent me, and added one more file, recorded in my bedroom, clean and undeniable. Me, with her sister. I sent it all to Emily with one sentence. I know everything. I blocked her number after that. Blocked her on social media. Shut every door she might use to crawl back through. I didn't need a fight. I didn't need closure. I needed her gone. She tried. Of course she did. Dozens of calls from new numbers. Emails with subject lines like, please just talk to me. And this isn't what you think. Messages that shifted from guilt to fury to desperation. I didn't read them. Didn't respond. I even got a voicemail from her mother, who'd once called me the best thing that ever happened to her daughter, now saying I'd crossed a line. I deleted it before she finished her sentence. Let them talk. Let her squirm under the weight of her own story. She made her choices. I just decided to give her a clear view of the consequences. And no, this wasn't the kind of ending I ever imagined. Not in a million years. But sometimes the most honest thing you can do is stop pretending something broken can be fixed. She wanted freedom. Now she has it. The silence that followed was different than before. It wasn't heavy or suffocating. It didn't sit on my chest like a weight I couldn't name. It felt clean. Sharp around the edges, maybe, but clear. I could breathe again. Not in that performative way people talk about when they leave a bad relationship, but for real. I could sit in my own home, drink my own coffee, and know that the space I was in was mine. Not something borrowed. Not something waiting to be betrayed. I didn't talk to anyone about what happened. Not my friends. Not my family. Not even Ava, who I hadn't seen since that night. I think we both knew it had been a moment, not a beginning. Something raw and complicated that served its purpose. There was no mess to clean up between us because we both understood what it was, and more importantly, what it wasn't. For a few weeks, I let the world stay small. I cleaned the house, deleted shared playlists, donated a few things she'd left behind, clothes, books, a framed photo of us in Paris that used to hang in the hallway. I changed the bedspread, bought new towels, cooked for myself. Pepper seemed calmer, like even the dog could feel the shift. Then, one Saturday morning at the farmer's market, I met her. Clara. It wasn't dramatic. No slow-motion glances across a crowded space. She was in front of me at a stall buying honey, fumbling with her wallet while her canvas bag tilted dangerously off her shoulder. I caught it before it fell. She laughed, an honest, unguarded kind of laugh, and said, "I swear I'm not usually this chaotic." We talked. Nothing heavy, just easy, surface-level things. I found myself smiling without effort. She mentioned a book she was reading. I'd read it too. We swapped thoughts, talked about the weirdly good falafel stand in the back corner. It was 30 minutes, maybe less. But it stayed with me. The next week, I saw her again. And again, the week after that. Slowly, naturally, we built something that didn't need to declare itself right away. She didn't ask about my past. I didn't ask about hers. We existed in the present, two people who'd clearly been through things, but didn't lead with scars. Eventually, I told her everything. Not in a dramatic reveal, just gradually, honestly. She listened, really listened. Not with pity, but with the kind of quiet attention that made me feel like I wasn't broken or foolish, just human. What we have now is small and steady. No games. No performances. She texts when she says she will. She shows up when she promises to. There's nothing mysterious or glamorous about it. And that's exactly why I trust it. I used to think love was about intensity. Now I think it's about calm. It's about who you become when the house is quiet and no one's watching. And for the first time in a long time, I like the man I see in that version of the quiet. I don't dream about her anymore. That was the last thing to go, I think, the uninvited flickers of her voice in the middle of a conversation, the way I'd still sometimes hear her laugh in the back of my mind while folding laundry or walking Max in the early morning quiet. They faded slowly, like music trailing off after a song ends. And one day, I just noticed the silence. Emily never got her things back. Not really. She made a few attempts in the first month, texts, emails, a long message from a number I didn't recognize where she wrote things like, "You don't understand," and "It wasn't serious," and "I made a mistake, but I still love you." She tried to reframe it, to soften the shape of what she'd done into something that could be forgiven. But I never replied. Some part of her, I think, expected me to hold the door open, to fall back into the comfort of her explanations, her familiar face, the shared history that made everything feel less ugly than it really was. But when trust breaks, it doesn't just shatter the connection. It shatters the version of yourself you were inside it. I couldn't be that man again, not even if I wanted to. Her sister never reached out after that night, and I never reached for her again either. What happened between us stayed there sealed in silence. I know it haunts Emily more than she'll ever admit. I didn't plan it that way. But sometimes truth has a way of finding the exact shape of a wound. Rachel sent one more message a few months later. Just one line. "I'm glad you're okay." I didn't answer, but I appreciated it. Life now is simpler. Not boring, just honest. Clara and I still move slowly. We cook dinner together a few nights a week, take Max to the dog park, leave little notes on each other's fridge like teenagers. There's no pressure to label it, no urgency to prove anything to the world. I don't measure it against what I had before, because it doesn't belong in that shadow. It's something new, something I didn't expect, but needed more than I knew. I think back sometimes to how it all started. How sure I was. How blind, too. But I don't carry shame with me anymore. I loved someone fully. I trusted her. I gave her every chance to be who she said she was. And when she showed me who she really was, I didn't collapse. I adapted. I moved forward. And now? Now I'm free. Not from her. Not from the pain. But from the need to keep wondering why. The story ended. The pages turned. And I didn't just survive it. I wrote something better next.